It's about 12 minutes after 12 on Sunday, June 14th, 2015. Calvin Castine at the corner of the goalpost here at St. Mary's in Champlain. Want to get a fixed location, so when this is all done, we can come back to this location and show what it's going to look like in a few weeks. January 16th of this year, a fire destroyed the school, completely destroying the old parts that were built in the early and mid 1900s. The part that was completed in 1959 is pretty much intact, but a lot of damage occurred, and it's going to be torn down along with the rest of the building starting tomorrow on June 15th, 2015, and that'll be almost exactly 5 months following the devastating fire. I'm going to go around the building and take a few final shots as it sits here on this bright and beautiful mid-June afternoon. A lot of preparation work has been done, primarily with asbestos abatement in the last several weeks. A couple of weekends ago, the St. Mary's Bazaar was held here, as has been the case for the past 47 or 48 years. Probably to air out the facility, the door here is wide open. We'll honor the no trespassing. We will zoom down the hall with the camera lens. There are metal doors at the end here and on the floor down below, and that's what would help preserve this part. Many people were hoping that this portion that opened in January of 1959 would be able to be preserved, but it is not the situation. It will be torn down. The asbestos portion of the flooring has been removed. As we've learned over the years, in the tiling there's asbestos, and a lot of things that you wouldn't consider that might have asbestos really do. So this will be one of the last looks that anybody will have down these hallways, where many of us have spent many years walking up and down. I graduated from the school in 1964, but continued to come to this facility over the years. All my children, my oldest, my first grandchild attended school here until it closed. And I had 2 grandchildren that attended here. And in a very short period of time, this hallway and all of its memories will be gone. The memories will stay, but the hallway will no longer be here. Not much that could burn didn't burn during this devastating fire. I'm going to raise our camera over the fence, and this is the cafeteria area and gymnasium area, the other side of that brick wall. We've had a lot of heavy rains in the last several weeks and some strong winds, and it looks like more of the roof has come down here. Thanks to Jed Thone, we do have aerial footage taken with a drone over this building a couple of weeks ago. I'm really shooting in the dark right here, not sure if I can see through it, but not sure if the camera can. It's one of the classrooms, and the desks and other things that were in here just a few weeks ago have been removed, so a lot of the stuff has been pulled out. I noticed the laboratory, all the shelves were pulled. We checked the recording and saw we were able to see inside, so we're going to just go down room by room. Here we've gone around to the other side of the school now. This is the principal's office. There's a screen on it, so it makes it a little difficult to get a good focus, but this was the principal's office back when I was in school. It was not the principal's office at the end of the school, because that part was in the what was used to be the library up on the 1940s portion of the school, with just beyond the stairs that are here in this portion. Well, this is the room. I'll have to keep my body in front here so the camera can see. We're going to walk along. This is the room next to the principal's office. All the rooms are going to kind of look alike, I'm sure. At the end of that room, we'll now go into the room that's closest to the driveway. Behind me is the athletic field. So this is where we are at. And I did notice that there's some garbage bagged up at the end here. But outside of that, everything else has been cleared out. With the door wide open, we could have gone in and taken these pictures from the inside, but again, we're respecting the no trespassing sign. But I'm not sure why this building is unlocked and wide open at this point, with really nothing to keep the area youngsters from wandering in. Okay, this is the first one we looked inside, and I don't know if we can see it again, but there's a map up there that's going to be gone with the rest of the destruction. And this is another map on this wall. This is the classroom next to it, and next will be the laboratory area. All this is probably a lot more than the average viewer really cares about, but for historical purposes we wanted to get it. And again, we're at the laboratory area, and all those shelves that have been there for 60 years are now gone. Hopefully they were salvaged. This is the high school, former high school area. That's the area we were just at, the last set of windows there. And looking at that video, we saw that the noonday sun was causing us problems as far as viewing inside. Well, that'll wrap up June 14th. We hope to come back here on a regular basis. Hopefully back here on the 15th. so we can monitor the final destruction of this building that means so many of us. Thanks to a little bit of video from actually film from Bob Ben, we do have some film footage when this athletic field was put in back in the late 1950s. We have a very limited amount of that, just a few seconds here and there, but we do have some video of that in our archives. So next stop here will be June 15th. We're making our way toward the school. We'll stop here. It's June 24th, a Wednesday. Needless to say, they did not arrive here on June 15th to start this progress, if we can call this progress. The grounds are soggy. We had a lot of rain last 10 days or so. Delay was for a lot of building permits that needed to be done, or actually destruction permits, and where they're going to take the debris. So this is 9 days, a week. We're in a week on Monday. It's a week and 2 days. It's a Wednesday. Time right now is 1:41. Talking with St. Mary's Parish Business Manager Laura Trahan. She said she went to lunch. Nothing was happening here. Came back from that late lunch and saw some movement up on the hills up here, and this is what she saw. So she called, and within 5 minutes I was here. So the first classroom has been destroyed. It's a windy day, the wind's to my back. I haven't got to worry too much about debris floating in this direction. I would guess the water being poured on it is to keep the dust down. As we've mentioned many times, January of 1959 is when this portion of the school was opened to the students. And it's the first portion that will be taken down. This is the company that's doing it out of Messina. This is a little surprising to see somebody walking out of that area. Can't imagine that there would be anybody in there, but there he was. Obviously, we're not going to be able to catch every bit of destruction here. We'll get it in increments. Now 2:35. Looks like they have vacated the premises. And it doesn't look like there's a lot more done. So this looks like 2:35 p.m. on June 24th, 2015. Back in the morning of now June 25th, about quarter of 11 in the morning. Looks like they've made a little bit more progress. They're piling up the debris, separating it, sorting it. And they've taken parts of that roof down. It's 11:10 now on the 25th, and looks like the excavator is back at work. I'll continue to walk and record. Pull a piece of metal out of that debris. If you didn't spend almost your entire life in some kind of association with this school, you would still find it sad to see all those building materials in such good shape being torn apart and destroyed. And he knows what he's doing there as far as pulling stuff out of there. Shooting blindly, almost. Pulling that metal out, picking it out of there. Looks like he's opening his door. Continuing. I'm fortunate that the wind is still a breeze, not really a wind, but the breeze is still far back here. Again, with the bright sunlight, I'm shooting almost blindly into the sun, into the light here. And shut the excavator off. So this is 11:18 on June 25th, 2015. (9:08 a.m. on Friday, June 26th, 2015. The first two classrooms are gone. Still June 26th, now approaching 3:30 p.m. As I drove up to the back of the school, I met a truck with the company name on it, so they were just leaving. Metal is there, the cinder blocks, cement blocks behind there, tin type of metal over in that direction, wood and other debris in that pile. And the school is wide open. Not sure if they'll be working on the weekend or if this is how St. Mary's will spend the weekend on this July 26th. There's just the lab left on this side. Looks like there's a classroom left there. And it's on to where the principal's office used to be in the high school days, and the boys' restroom, girls' restroom. The nurse's office was in that area. I've moved now to roughly where I was when I took my first shot of this segment back on June 14th. Now at the edge of the bazaar booths, looking almost straight on into what would have been the school. I'm going to zoom in down the hall, see if the picture will lighten up any. Those few electric cords hanging there, picking up the sun, preventing us from getting a clearer shot in there. Definitely wide open and definitely available to any youngster that wants to go over this little plastic fence, plastic snow fence. So considering all the hazardous debris hanging around, it's not overly secure as far as the perimeter goes. Afternoon of Monday, June 29th, about 3:05 p.m. We have destroyed 2 more classrooms, and looks like the lab area has been torn down. This is probably the most destruction they have done in a day since they've been here. Chances are by tomorrow they'll have the entire 1959 portion completely torn down. Pile of wood products has really grown. There's the cinder block area. There's the brick of the building. That was covered. "56 years ago when the new portion was put up. See, the black portion there was and then the sloping roof line. Black portion is probably where the roof truss laid against the old brick. You see the roof line, it goes there and there, but that's how it lined up against the school that was built somewhere in the 1940 area. And the part that again is being torn down was opened in January of '59. We'll keep saying that every time we take a picture, probably. Changed angles. This is the view from the bus entrance driveway in the back of the school. You can see the pale blue walls of the lab area. See, the rafters are still there. Over the restrooms, and former principals and business office. Not much left of that portion of the school. That's the portion that might have been salvageable with a lot of effort, but probably would have been salvageable. So this will wrap up the Monday, June 29th look at the destruction of St. Mary's Academy in Champlain. Now 11:45 on June 30th, a Tuesday. We're back at St. Mary's for a little update on the destruction. Looks like the principal's office, when I was in school, later a nurse's office I believe, is gone. The little business office next to it is still there. The restrooms are about to be destroyed. This is how it looks at 11:45 on Tuesday, June 30th, 2015. 5:35 p.m. We're near the goalpost on the St. Mary's athletic field. Looking toward the area where the high school was since 1959. It is now completely destroyed. The contractors finished that part of the demolition this afternoon. We'll move over. Prior to 1959, construction of course through 58 into 59. This is what the school consisted of. And in 59 the high school moved into their new diggings, and it served the community proudly for well over 50 years. Here's the stairway that went from the new portion into that portion of the school. At the time of the closing of the school, the principal's office was immediately past those doors on your right. When I was in school, up those doors to your right was the library. That was in the 60s. This is the entrance that took you into that side entrance, led you downstairs to the cafeteria, to the gymnasium. There's the opening. There's the roofing. That entrance took you downstairs to a basketball game in my high school days. That's how most of us got in, although you could get in from the front. So all the high school is now just a memory as of today, June 30th, 2015. There's the door that led into the laboratory area. In later years, that was the after-school program was in there. I would think that they would probably not be tearing down much structure for the next couple of days until they're able to move some of these piles of metal and stone and wood out of here. But we'll find out tomorrow what happens. But for the time being, this is how it looks in the evening, early evening of June 30th, 2015. Before we depart, we'll take at least one more angle on this June 30th. Looking into the original stone structure, following it down to the structure that went up in the around the 40s, early 40s, late 30s, whenever that was put up, the gymnasium, cafeteria. And again, the doors that lead up into that portion from the old high school, the lab door. Back briefly on Wednesday, July 1st. Been raining through most of the day and it's supposed to continue. And as I anticipated, at this point in time they're no longer demolishing the school. They're cleaning up what they have taken out. This portion here I'm sure will go to a landfill. Apparently the stone and brick will go to a different spot, as will the metal. Metal I'm sure will be recycled. But again, there's the wall, and this is what this end of the school, minus the destruction, looked like up until the new part was constructed in the late 1950s. So it's about 20 after 11 on this July 1st, 2015. Now about 11:05 on Thursday, July 2nd. A lot of debris has been moved away. The remaining portions of the high school, that little door that went into the lab, has now been taken down. The roof over the doorway entrance on the side that led down into the gymnasium has now been taken down. But they have yet to attack the gymnasium cafeteria portion. Well, this is where the library was when I was in school. It became the offices for the principal and the when it became an elementary school. It's the corner of the gymnasium, and in the background we see the original structure that was put up in 1909 above the higher elevation. So this is a Thursday. Tomorrow is the 3rd. Whether they'll consider it to be part of the 4th of July weekend and not work tomorrow, we'll probably find out when we arrive. I'm guessing they have enough debris here to pick up that they won't start on this until tomorrow, or maybe Monday if they decide not to work on Friday, the 3rd. That's a desk. I somehow decided wasn't salvageable. This is a July 3rd look at the destruction of St. Mary's Academy in Champlain. The morning of July 3rd, Friday, about 9:40. Nothing happening here today. This is the entrance. This is the cement pad. the high school was. More debris yet to be taken away. Awfully brave with the copper. Scavengers like copper, so they're leaving some right here by the little plastic fence. So here's the wall that separated the 1941 portion from the 1959 portion. There was 3 stories there. The 2-story part is actually 1 story because it's a gymnasium. And those are the doors once again that led into that portion of the school. And the latter days was the principal's office. I've mentioned that many times, but I'll say it one more. So we hope to be back here on Monday. In the meantime, this is how it looks July 3rd for the 4th of July weekend, 2015. Shortly after 4 p.m. on Monday, 5th day of July 2015, Calvin Castine back at St. Mary's, getting a close-up view of the former high school building. The foundation for the former high school building. A lot of the debris has been moved, still a lot left to move. I'm guessing they have maybe another day of debris moving before they get into tearing down the next portion. This is the area that went into the area right underneath there. Little furnace room type of an area. These are the stairs that went down to the gymnasium. This is the entrance that so many people used. And those are the stairs that went up into what was the elementary principal's office in the latter days. The school closed following the 2012 school year, and the fire was January 16th of this year, 2015. And this entire building will continue to come down. The wall for the gymnasium and the 3-story school building. The bottom floor there was, of course, the cafeteria in that section. So that's the July 6th look at the destruction of St. Mary's in Champlain. About 4:30 p.m. on Tuesday, July 7th, 2015. Doesn't look like a lot of changes here. It's like they're putting up a second plastic fence to slow down intruders. kind of wide open through there. They've done something. They've obviously been in and out of those doors sometime during the day today. This is as close as we care to get to the gymnasium side of the structure. Seems to be bowed out a little bit. You know, we saw when Kevin Triller's video when the meat locker was taken down. Sometimes you just touch a little corner and zap, the whole pile of bricks fall like dominoes. Looking directly through the doors, see the far wall on the original 1909 structure. This is a view that's never existed until this year's fire, where you could see from this end clearly all the way to the other wall. Not much holding that little layer of bricks there. You can see why it'd be very dangerous if somebody just wandered in there. Looks like a school bell up in the corner. That bell is rung for the last time. If it is a bell. And here's the debris. Stone and bricks, tin, and just general rubble, which includes stone and bricks. About 11:15 a.m. on Wednesday, July 8th. And they've been busy. Although the excavator isn't running at the moment. This wall has been torn down, I would say probably a quarter to a third of the wall. So this will open up the area on the other side of that wall. You can see these stairs we've looked at so many times that went into the school, came up by the old library and by the principal's office when the school closed. I've mentioned that every time. We can see the area where there were windows. You can see there were windows there in the original structure, but when different additions took place, they closed those particular windows up. That wall there we are looking at, I would say, is the wall on the other side of this structure. It's would be the south side, and then up above here would be the north side of the original structure. So when the addition was put on, those windows were closed up. There was no need for windows because there was a new portion of the building there. Every grab just disintegrated. Moving I-beams out of the way so we can grab the wooden rubble. One more angle, side angle. Running the fire hose to keep the dust to a minimum. Now approaching 4:30 on Wednesday. Getting a close-up look at the material they're taking out of there. We're on our side of the fence. This debris looks a little cleaner. Not sure if this will be brought to a different site than the dirty debris. This stuff is pretty clean right here. And of course the metal, we know that'll be recycled. Sign here says danger asbestos hazard. Haven't noticed that at any other location, so an extra warning. There once again are the stairs that went up. When I was in school, the library was here, the principal's office was there at the end, Sister Cordata's office. So that's what it looks like right now. The old civil defense, I can get it in sight here. There it is, civil defense sign. Nobody told that cat, there's a cat over there. So that cat can't read. So a lot has been done. And this is how it looks right now. Again, we are at the corner. Right there would be the corner of the gymnasium. The upper part of the gymnasium right there. So the stage, a little hard to see here in the bright light, might be where the stage would have been, right there. That area there. And the gymnasium there. The auditorium, gymnasium. And of course on this side of that wall were those classrooms, and there was a third floor on this side with the classrooms. So let's conclude our July 8th look at the destruction of St. Mary's as it continues. About 10 minutes to 6 on Thursday, July 9th. Not much of, if anything, done on the walls, but looks like they've done some efforts clearing out the rubble inside the structure. And if you're wondering if there's mosquitoes out here tonight, there certainly are. I'm not sure if the camera will focus on the fence or will show through the fence the metal support that we see out there. That would be in the area beyond the cafeteria, the edge of the cafeteria. The cafeteria would have been in this area here. I'm sure they worked all day, but visibly there's not a lot of progress that we can see. Well, July 9th, 2015, St. Mary's deconstruction. Approaching 10 minutes before noon, Friday, July 10th, 2015. They're about to take their lunch break. Appears like they're concentrating on clearing out the debris. So not much has been done along that wall of the school. I would guess if they feel that wall is secure, they will continue to clear out what's in the bottom there, but I don't know how much I would consider that wall there to be secure. Obviously there's structural problems with it. Well, this will be our wrap up for this week as we continue to chronicle the destruction of St. Mary's in Champlain. This is approaching noon, July 10th, 2015. Approaching 11:20 in the morning of July 13th, Monday. We're back at St. Mary's. This will start our weekly report for this week. Washing down everything they pull out of there. Temperature is about 85 degrees right now. (6:15) on July 30th. We're zooming in to show you the inside. This would be, I'm guessing, a door that led to the stage, back of the stage. Gymnasium on the other side of that wall. Stage up at this end. Cafeteria here. They've been steadily pulling rubble out of here. We still have a lot more to go. And then beyond into the original 1909 portion of the school. A close-up of those steps that we've shown so many times. It led up to the library, which was right here, and the Sister Cordata's office, which was right here in later times. And these are the stairs that went down into the lower portion. Cafeteria on your right, gymnasium, auditorium, etc. over here on your left. Looks like they had some things that probably could have been and should have been salvaged. No telling what's on those VHS tapes. Frying pans. Could be important school history on those VHS tapes. I'll never know at this point. Oh, just so much garbage now. Approximately 6:30 p.m. on Tuesday, July 14th, 2015. Within those walls that I learned that July 14th is Bastille Day. Tuesday, July 14th, 2015. They've been busy today. Oh, a lot of destruction. This entire wall is just about eliminated. For some reason they're still here working at this late hour. And I would have to be concerned, very much concerned about that wall as they continue to take down this part. So that sidewall would be a major concern to me, but here's how it looks shortly after 6:30 p.m. Tuesday, the 14th day of July, 2015. There's the Main Street entrance into the gym. That's where the doors were. I can see all the way through right now. Ten after 11 on Wednesday, July 15th, 2015. It's been a while since we took any photos from this angle. The entrance from Main Street. Gymnasium straight ahead. Look like there's not much. Take much to knock that wall down. Looks like it won't take much of a nudge to get this little portion to come tumbling down. Large crack underneath that window. That's where my third grade was when I was there. Up there. Or was it there? Who remembers? A long time ago. This is our angle now. And that wall, of course, entirely gone. There's the furnace room. 15 on Thursday, July 16th. This is our angle. People mowing the lawn here at St. Mary's next to me, so that's a loud noise. It's like a huge I-beam right there. Gas masks. They water down the area. And this is kind of what it looks like at this moment in time. It's like they're in another of those sorting and hauling debris parts of the deconstruction. Totally unrelated. I often wondered how they mow the lawn here at St. Mary's up that steep incline, and here's how they do it. Arts Lawn Care at work. Deconstruction is going on. It's about 7 minutes before 2 on Friday, the 17th. We're shooting through the fence here. This is the cafeteria side. And through the doors would be the gymnasium side. That would be the hallway there. That was the hallway between the cafeteria and the gymnasium. And that would be the wall to the original 1909 portion, which would have been at the end of the cafeteria. We have a full load of debris to be moving. I've been told they've been worried about the weight of this, whether it's heavy, too heavy or not. To make sure it's roadworthy. I'm not sure if they can weigh it here, if they'll have to go down to Diesel's. There's a weighing station at Diesel Incorporated, I know. That's a mile and a half or so from here. Whether they can do that, I don't know, but I'm sure they don't want to get out on the highway and have problems. They want to make sure they have a legal load. This would be into the stage area. And that would be the door that came into the gymnasium, with the stage to your left and the gymnasium to your right. And it's kind of aiming it in here over the top of the fence with the sun blowing in my viewer. Very tough. There's a portion of the original building. Well, that's how it stands right now on this almost 2 p.m. on the 17th of July, Friday, 2015. The deconstruction of St. Mary's continues in Champlain. Saturday, July 18th, 1:40 p.m. Looks like these tickets will never be sold. And here is the backstage area. This is backstage. A lot of debris to be pulled out of here. This continues on into the gymnasium. Again, showing the door on the far side that came in from Main Street. The windows. Those windows were long ago closed up. They went all the way up to the top years ago, but to save heat, they were made smaller a couple decades back. This is the gym floor, radiators. Some sort of table. Bingo, of course, was held here on a regular basis for many years. There's a door that went from the backstage out into the gym area. Once again, there's the stairway that went downstairs. Stairway that went up to the second floor. This is the kitchen area here, and the cafeteria area there, and a little nurse's office, I think, was on this part of the construction, not the original 1909 part. So they really cleared this out this week. They made great progress here as far as cleaning out debris. So I would think they might have a little more debris to move out before they tackle any further, but I would expect that before the next week is over, they'll be attacking this part. That's the door that led up to the high school. And that's where the high school was. July 18th, 2015 at St. Mary's. Monday, July 20th, 2015, 7:27 p.m. And I was here Saturday and saw the great amount of rubble that they had to move from the premises. I was certain that there would be nothing done to the structure in the early part of this week. And boy, was I wrong. They have taken down the outside gymnasium wall on this Monday. And for the most part, the only thing that's still standing structure-wise is the original structure from 1909, although there is part of this here that in the center of the building. Again, this, we've shown many times, separated the gymnasium area from the hallway next to the cafeteria and on upstairs to the second floor. So that is not an outside wall there, it's an inside wall. Very well constructed, as you can see. But the outside gymnasium wall is there no more. You can see the size of how huge these I-beams are. Huge I-beams, I would say 24 inches, if not larger. Huge I-beams that they've taken out today. When I reviewed the footage from Saturday, I noticed that there was green down in the bottom and down here where Mother Nature is trying to grow a few weeds in the bottom of that floor, but this wall now is gone. That's the door that was in the hallway. The door that left the gym is long gone, but that's the hallway door that you could come in from that area, walk along there, or into the gym right there. But or walk along there, and then the locker rooms were there when I was in school. First and second grades were there. Third grade was there, and upstairs was the upper grades. And then by 1959, the high school portion had been built. In January of 59, I graduated in 64. The high school closed in 1969, and the school closed in 2012, finally, as an elementary school. Metal folding chairs. And it looks like they've pushed the wall into the gymnasium floor. Another tremendously huge I-beam. Bent. Not sure if it was warped in the fire or bent in the demolition. And looking into the old locker rooms. So, much to my surprise, another huge portion of the school has come has come down on this 20th day of July 2015. At 5:40 p.m. on the 21st, Tuesday, 21st of July. There's still people here on site working. It's like they're ready to pull out with another load of debris. Obviously not much being done on that wall. I'm going to go to the front and come up that side and just have a view of the front where the old gymnasium was. So they're ready to head for their cars and calling it a day here at 20 of 6. One thing I don't think I've pointed out is the front, the Main Street view. These ruts that have been here. This one here has got to be close to a foot deep. This was caused by the tremendous amount of water running off during the flooding of the school during the battle to try to save it. So that those ruts were caused at that point in time. So here's our view from the front of the school. And there again is the original 1909 portion. The convent was here at that time, and right through the middle of the 60s till the late 60s. And put my hand over the fence here, but here's how it looks from this angle. A huge I-beam was leaning over the top of the wall for all the time since the fire. We've had some strong winds and some strong rains, and that may be one reason why they decided to attack that wall while they still have a lot of debris to remove. And you can see the bricks that came out as far as here, and bricks all along through there. So it must have been interesting when that wall came tumbling down. And there's the front entrance and the Main Street side to the school. Again, the club rooms, the locker rooms. And that was an elementary school in my day. So that's how it looks. July 21st, 2015. (11:23) on July 22nd, Wednesday. We're near the goalpost where we were back in June. Looks like it's primarily a cleanup day today, not a lot of activity going on. Had a lot of rain continuing through this month so far. have rain. It's heavy rain and quick showers, quick heavy showers. So after a wet June, it's been a wet July. So things are kind of quiet here on this Wednesday approaching noon. Thursday, 11:08, July 23rd. It appears like we are busy taking stuff out of the gymnasium area. Again, piles of burying rubble, including a huge pile of tin in that area. And for some reason they've got a little hose running in this direction, so I walked by here, I got a nice little shower. This is the view from the Main Street entrance. And it looks like they're going to take a pause. About 10 minutes before noon, Friday, July 24th, 2015. Things are relatively quiet. Equipment is off at the moment. There are workers here. There are no large trucks here to pick up debris. So my guess is they'll be making more piles of rubble as they continue to pull it out of the gymnasium area. Had a few showers come through this morning. Saturday will be dry, Sunday will be showers again, and then next week on Monday they'll be starting to have some hot, muggy weather again. 84, 87, 87 is the forecast for Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday of the coming week. So it'll be kind of sticky in this area. This is our end of the week look at the demolition of St. Mary's in Champlain. (11:08 a.m. on Saturday, July 25th. Continuing our look at the demolition of St. Mary's Academy in Champlain. This gymnasium wall came down this past Monday, and it looks like for the most part it's been picking through the rubble. Here in the gymnasium floor. You can barely make out the sign that the painting that Vital Signs did back in 1997. St. Mary's Academy on on the wall of the gym. And it's dedicated to the memory of Bob Venn, with the fleur-de-lis underneath the arc of the St. Mary's Academy. And it said the Saints. And yet another look from the cafeteria angle, cafeteria side before we leave. "12 minutes after 11 on Monday, July 27th, 2015. And as expected, it looks like it's, at this point in time, mainly a debris cleanup day here at the site of the St. Mary's demolition. The start of a hot and muggy week. And not much happening here as far as visible progress. I'm sure it's slow going to separate all that varying debris. Quarter 5 on Tuesday, July 28th. Looks like they've made quite a bit of progress in cleaning out debris. And it sounds like they've got a truck ready to go. Saw a couple of men inspecting it. And it looks like it's ready to hit the road, if not the next minute or two, certainly within the next 10 or 15 minutes. So structures knocked down, not much to report, but it looks like they've made good progress in cleaning out debris. Temperature at the moment 86 degrees. It's a hot and muggy day, and it's supposed to be warmer tomorrow, and we had temperatures at our place that hit 91 today. Wednesday, July 29th, 2015. They have once again surprised me. I thought they would take out the center wall in the 1940s building before attacking the original structure, but that is not the case. About 4:30 p.m. the center wall is still standing. The cement portion of the outside gymnasium wall is still standing. That's the inside wall. But they have attacked the 1909 structure, and they are supposed to salvage this 1909 cornerstone, and hopefully that's on their agenda. So they've really attacked this portion of the school today on this Wednesday. There are still workers on site. They've just backed up that truck. Temperature is 90 degrees according to my car thermometer. A large portion of the original 1909 stone structure has been torn down. They're putting up their fences, getting ready to leave, it looks like. Approaching 10 a.m. on Thursday, the 30th of July, 2015, and we are back, and more of the corner has come down here, and very pleased to report that that cornerstone has been saved. And we've got, thanks to Chris Trombley, we've got the project manager with us. Your name?
Matt Jodwin, representing JFP Enterprises.
And what is JFP Enterprises?
We're a general contractor, typically doing commercial and heavy residential work. And we were actually contacted by Chris Trombley in early January when the recovery process and rebuilding of the school started, and we were on site probably in that first week with pumping out the basement and starting the security fencing on the perimeter, and we've been involved pretty much ever since. So.
Okay, the fire was January 16th, and so you got involved shortly thereafter?
Yes, we did.
Okay. Where's your outfit out of?
We're out of Plattsburgh, New York,
okay.
Right on Route 9, so we're just down south a little bit from here.
Okay. So I think of Eldon, is it Eldon Jodwin from?
Elton, yeah, that's my grandfather.
Okay,
so.
Yeah. Yeah, he's a legend in the area. Is there anything else besides that cornerstone that they wished to preserve?
What we're trying to do is basically all this stonework, whatever comes out intact, we are going to store in its own separate pile to try to use to memorialize, do some kind of a memorial statue or something like that to kind of preserve what we can of the rest of the building. But given the temperatures it reached in there, the mortar and the condition of the stone, it's unpredictable how it's going to come out.
Kind of gets brittle, huh?
It's very brittle, very brittle.
I noticed there was some real serious cracks in some of the seams up there. Just it looked like you just kind of push on it, and
it is. It's very unstable, and that was the biggest thing that we were trying to make sure safety wasn't compromised with obviously saving that cornerstone. Though it's good that it came out that intact.
Yeah. So is it going to be brought to the rectory? What's going to happen to it right now?
Unsure what that's going to be used for, but I know it's going to be incorporated in whatever they do for it. I
don't want to see it get run over here.
No, it's going to be put in a safe spot. So.
Okay. Now I was surprised because that center part of the where the gym was and the hall to the cafeteria and so on was still standing. I was surprised when this part here was attacked, shall we say. But the debris in that gymnasium area, it takes a lot of sifting, I assume?
It is. Basically all the burned debris at the bottom has to be considered friable asbestos. And given what New York State has available to us right now, the debris is being brought to Erie County, which we're only able to get out one truck a day right now because Franklin County, their landfill is closed, the part of that takes friable asbestos, and they're not accepting out of county waste. So that's been one obstacle to...
I'm thinking Erie County, I'm thinking somewhere around the Buffalo area.
It is.
Lake Erie.
It's a good 5-hour haul from here in a car. So with the size trucks that are going down there, it's a slow process.
I noticed the debris seems to be sorted. I see parts that we'd call rubble, and I see bricks and stones that look fairly clear piled over in your piles over there, and I see metal and the tin. And how do you sort it?
Basically, we have KAS Environmental here. They're the third party project air monitoring, and they go through and can determine what we can clean. And you'll see basically as they go through that they're spraying down debris to be able to wash away those non-porous materials to be considered clean material, and that's what you see piled up in the
Back parking lot.
back parking lot.
Now, I see when I've been here when the machines, the excavators are running and so on, and the fire hoses are right on them, so that's to keep the dust,
to keep
the dust down.
Yep. Yep.
Now, there's a little red sign here. It says asbestos danger, keep out. Obviously, we've had breezes throughout this demolition period. How do you monitor the air?
KAS actually has air monitors set up around the perimeter, and given the water that we spray on it, there's ongoing testing to make sure the air quality just outside the project area is safe. And you'll notice that all the people within the confines of the fence are wearing respirators and breathing devices, so their safety's not
So
in question.
we're about 4 feet away from that fence. If I move 5 feet closer,
You'd be
in
in violation.
respirator area.
Yes, you would.
But we've seen so many people that have got in trouble by not handling asbestos properly.
It's a process you have to follow, and that's why we hire the experts with KAS and Jada Environmental for.
Now that back stairway looks in pretty good shape.
It
is
is.
Going to be salvaged, or is that going to be just thrown away as rubble?
They're probably going to take it away, and it'll probably be scrap metal.
That's
Unless
too bad,
somebody
'cause
takes
somebody,
it.
you ought to put it aside, because I'm sure somebody could use that. That's a darn good, and I don't think it's.
It's in
affected
good shape.
by
No, it
asbestos,
wasn't.
yeah. If there's a way to salvage that, I think it should be. I think somebody could find use for that. There's a darn nice double stairway there. So
Yeah, it's not
if it's salvageable without making a lot of extra work. Now you started. Originally, I came down here, I think, about June 13th or so, saying that you were going to start around June 15th or 16th, but you were a week or so.
Yeah, we were waiting on an approved variance.
All your ducks in a row.
Some paperwork back from the state of New York with having to demolish this with asbestos in place.
Uh-huh.
It just it's a different permit process that you have to go through, and it's a little more lengthy with getting your notifications out to everybody and basically following the protocol of what's needed. And we're making sure all the way through that we're crossing our T's and dotting our I's with it. So
Now, when you bid a project like this, I assume you have a finish date for how long you think it's going to take. Are you kind of on track, or what's happening?
we're approximately there with doing it this way with asbestos in place. There's a lot of variables to it. So the way that it's tracked is the actual tonnage for slips of material that's being brought out. That's what the contractor's going to get paid for. But they do have set limits for their labor and material as far as a time frame of what they will get paid for. So it protects the owner and it protects the contractor as well with a project like this, given the uncertainty of how much debris and how much rubble's at the bottom.
So the contractor's not going to want to save those stairs then. He makes money if
Yeah, well,
clears
it
that out here.
depends. Yeah, it depends on that though, because they're it's just as easy to take them out the way they are. So
Yeah, it would, even if somebody, a contractor took them and sold it, it'd be better than just throwing it away, just crushing it and
right after they're
going
deemed
away.
safe with KAS cleaning them, then
Yeah,
they're,
I would hope that somebody would salvage that. So is that interior wall going to be one of the last coming down?
Yep, they're basically just trying to get their way to have access to crawl the machine into the foundation pit to be able to get at that.
And do you have a target date for when it'll be done?
We're looking probably another 2 to 3 weeks with going through this. This is going to be a time-consuming process, sifting through the interior of this, given this is where the fire actually originated. So there's a lot of debris at the bottom of this to sort through.
Yeah, and these stone and brick structures, it becomes a little barbecue pit in there.
It is.
The heat doesn't escape until the tin falls through, and then then you got a vent. But till then, it's just like an oven.
Yep. And it burned hot here for a long time.
Yeah. Okay, so 2 or 3 weeks into August, and what's it going to look like when you're finished? Obviously, there's big holes here. There's that Jim went down into the ground, and there's going to be a big hole there. Is that going to be filled in?
It's going to be filled in with bank run gravel, and it's going to be topsoil and seeded.
That's going to take a lot of gravel. That's a
Yeah, it's gonna take
cafeteria
quite a
and
bit. They're gonna basically all the clean debris that we can use as fill here. We're gonna do that and then top it with a sand.
Oh, okay. So some of that debris that we
Yes.
see piled in the
Yep.
back will remain here as
Yep.
a lasting tribute.
That's it.
And so that center part will be probably the last part. Have you ever run into any surprises?
Not so far. No, we kind of had a rough idea of what to expect, and thus far it's kind of gone to plan. So far so good, but there's still time left. So.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. You don't want to jinx yourself.
No.
And say. Anything else, Matt, that I'm not smart enough to ask you that I should be asking about?
No, I think that's pretty much the gist of the project so far. So until we get into the rebuilding phase of what's going to happen, which is it's still an ongoing process with what the parish is going to want to do with the building. So
Yeah. Okay. The cement. I'm thinking the cement where the high school part was, the first part you tore down. Is that going to be torn up, or what's going to happen there?
right now that's going to stay in place. We're going to see what we have left to work with budget wise, and we'll kind of go from there at the end. But that would be one of the last things that happens here.
Because if nothing else, you could put a hoop at each end and
That's right.
make
Yeah.
make
Nice
a
little basketball
court.
court.
Yeah, or something, a tennis court, or it's kind of tough for tennis, but it would make a nice little basketball court if you have to pour that much cement. It costs you a lot of money. So,
That's it.
so why not look at it and see what you can do? So you're saying they're not set in stone as to what they're going to reconstruct yet?
Nope. That's still up for discussion. There's been ongoing meetings monthly, and we're kind of going through the
You're just going to do
the
what
planning
You're
phase.
going to do what they tell you to do, and that's
Right.
you're not making any decisions on that. But I know a lot of people think that what happens should happen here, where the original school was. But I've been told the pastor's leaning toward doing something closer to the church, and so I'm sure that's getting some discussion.
Yeah,
And that's not you're not involved in.
that's been a
discussion.
hot
You're
topic. Now we're just kind of mediating
you're
at this
just-
point.
It's just gonna do what you're told. All right. Well, we appreciate you coming down here. Appreciate Chris Trombley getting a hold of you, and hopefully, so by the end of this week, I've been doing a weekly update. Would all this stone be down? Today's Thursday. That's tomorrow.
Yep, we're thinking if not tomorrow, probably Monday. We'll work our way outside the building to be able to maneuver around a little bit more.
One thing I've noticed is the hours. I come here sometimes at 6 o'clock to shoot some pictures, and there's still people here working, and
Yep.
sometimes 4 o'clock everybody's gone. So it kind of
It's kind of a
stays-
day to day. Yeah, they're trying to make sure they got enough debris to send out in the truck in the morning and make sure they're set for the next day. And
Yeah, when I was here last night, they were just parking the truck up there, and so I assume that on the other side, I assume it's either filled or it's still there.
no, right now it's on its way to Erie.
It's gone, so they filled it this
They
morning.
filled it this morning. It goes out usually first thing in the morning and gets back here 3-4 o'clock in the afternoon, and they load that up and then ready for the next morning.
Okay. All right. Again, thanks for taking time to chat with us. And I know you've got a meeting in Plattsburgh. We'll let you get to that. And let's hope. Is there anything else that you're supposed to save besides that cornerstone?
We're going to try to just utilize as many masonry members as we can with the original stonework here. But other than that, it's just within the confines of the fence. That's it. We're going to We're going to obviously pull the sign out here
Yeah.
and save that flagpole as well.
Save the flagpole. I don't think you can do much with that sign. It's pretty much getting chewed up by weather as it is. But all right. Look at the school here. It's 10 after 10 on this July 30th, 2015. (1:35 p.m. on July 31st, Friday. And this is how it looks heading into the weekend. Up until the 1960s, we would see the convent in the front of this picture. And from 1909 till just this week, we would see that stone structure looking down on passersby here on Route 9. So a lot of people have seen that stone structure. As we've mentioned before in other programs, Route 9 was the main road between Montreal and New York City for a great number of years before the Northway came in. So this is something that would have been seen by probably in the millions of drivers over the years. But it's gone. It's only about one floor remaining at the moment. And a week from now, that'll probably be down. So this will end our weekly look at the demolition of St. Mary's Academy, ending here on July 31st, 2015. Sunday, August 2nd, 2015. Calvin Castine at St. Mary's, in the back parking lot with the Bazaar grounds over that away. And we're looking at the rubble and with new information as we start the week. As we learned on Thursday this past week, as we always knew, the meadow would be sold for recycling, but this clean debris, the cinder blocks and the brick that are clean and relatively good shape, will be used as partial fill to start the filling process when the leveling of the school is completed. The cafeteria gymnasium area is lower. It'll be like a basement in a house. So that'll be filled and brought back up to a normal height. So they will use this small pile of debris to start that process. It'll just be a small dent, but at least some of the ruins will remain here on site. There's another pile here that looks fairly clean, and I would say that that will also end up going into the gymnasium cafeteria area. A lot of metal debris. See a chair, and pipes, and a whole lot of stuff that's been burnt and rusted beyond recognition. We're now standing in the middle of what was the high school, and we see that the wind has apparently blown down this inner barrier. Not that it's much of a barrier, just a little reminder of the situation here. We see more clean debris over on that side, on the side of where the cafeteria was. And of course not much has changed here in the last week or two, because this was cleaned out quite a while ago. We'll continue to run the camera, go beyond this pile of tin and metal. Still in the high school portion. And now we see they've made great strides in the gymnasium area. Great strides here. And of course the destruction demolition that took place of the original 1909 structure is evident. So here we are backstage looking out toward what was the gymnasium. And now we're walking along the wall, area that I've walked hundreds of times, alongside the gymnasium. This cement will become part of the rubble. Probably, well, you have ground level here, so it'll be a gradual type of thing. They'll need more fill over there in that cafeteria side, and more fill up here in the side closer to the high school, and very little fill here because it came in at the level of the gymnasium. So basically there'll be no fill here. We'll just be turning this back into a grassy area. And this is what it looks like, as the project manager Matt Jodwin told us. They're trying to save as much as they can of the old stone structure. The pieces they can save, they'll try to find use for, but it's very brittle because of the immense heat of this January 16th fire. Here's the cornerstone that they saved. Looks like L'École Catholic School. And it has the date 1909 hidden in the grass there. And it was up just in that area, just above the windows on the corner. Stairway is still here. There was a different stairway when I was in school here in the 60s, because I'd be standing right in the convent right now, and there's a little alleyway between the school and the convent, and at least once a month we'd cross over into the convent because First Friday Mass. And of course the nuns would use that stairway for the ones up on the upper floors to come across, and there was also an exit down at the floor level. And as I mentioned when talking to Matt Jodwin, I'm hoping that they're able to save this stairway. It looks like it's in great shape, all things considered, and it'd be nice if they could find somebody to utilize it. I would hope they would be able to put it aside, but my thoughts are it's going to be squashed and thrown in with the metal debris, unfortunately. We'll keep the camera rolling as we watch where we're stepping. So I'm just pointing the camera and not looking through it. And here's the side by the boiler room. The coach's offices were in here when I was in school. And that's basically our look around the perimeter on this August 2nd, 2015, as the demolition of St. Mary's Academy continues following their January 16th fire. (11:15) on the 3rd of August, Monday, and all is quiet here at this point in time. From this angle we can't see any workers, and we don't hear any noise anywhere. We're expecting them to be attacking that remaining stone building, but at the moment that's not happening. Approaching 5 p.m. Tuesday, August 4th, from the front on Main Street. It didn't look like much had happened, but it looks like they have knocked down the side of the wall, that original portion, and they've been busy clearing stuff out of there. So the wall has been taken down on the, so it's only the front part of that that's remaining, and of course the inside wall is still there for the moment. And it looks like they've been rearranging the debris. Those huge I-beams have been put on top of a couple of debris piles, so they'll probably be cut and made a little more manageable. But I would say there's your progress right there. That looks like just the front part is the only part remaining for the old stone structure as far as outside walls. Well, it's 6:23 Wednesday, August 5th, and we're near where the entrance to the high school would have been. This would have been the hallway. And we have noticed that the heavy equipment has caused some damage to the pavement here at the back parking lot. I hope the parish will include repairing that in their budget. We can now get a closer look at the remains of the gymnasium. They've now attacked that wall that's been standing there for so long that separated the gymnasium from the cafeteria and other area of the school, included the upper classrooms. As we noted yesterday, upper 2 floors are now gone on the original stone structure, just 1 floor remaining. So as we approach 6:30, this will conclude our August 5th look at the demolition of St. Mary's in Champlain. "6:05 p.m. on August 6th, Thursday night, 2015. My guess is that the work today was pretty much devoted to debris pickup. Doesn't look like any more of the structure has been knocked down. They have plenty of debris to work with, and that'd be my guess as to what they spent the day doing here at St. Mary's. Friday, August 7th. Looks like today was mainly another debris cleanup day. In fact, as we were driving around the perimeter, the truck was just leaving and they were closing up the back entrance. Well, it's starting to look a lot cleaner on the site, but as far as demolition, not much has been done in the last 48 hours or so, and this will conclude this week's look at the demolition of St. Mary's. About 6:45 on Monday, August 25th, August 10th, 2015. Looks like they have started to attack this cement portion that was around the gymnasium. We're at the side of the gymnasium. Stage, high school. They've also started to attack that wall that separated the gym and the hall and the cafeteria on the other side. They punched a hole in there, and it looks like they've pulled some of the cement out of the front here also, front part of the gymnasium. The excavator sits on top of some of the rubble. You see big piles of cement up here. I assume these are from the sides of the gymnasium. The tarmac, the pavement has been torn up. stairs are still there. This portion of the 1909 structure is still here. Not sure if they'll be knocking these walls down to give them more maneuverability. It's very possible that this would be our last weekly update. I'm sure there'll be at least one more update following this week, but there may not be enough that will change in the next week to warrant a weekly update. And of course they're hoping to have this cleared out within the next couple of weeks. So this is Monday, August 10th, 2015. Approaching 4 p.m. on Tuesday, the 11th of August, 2015. And it looks like today was mainly a cleanup day. The tractor trailer is parked along there, but no new walls have been knocked down that we can see. So they're making progress, but it's basically cleaning up. And it had rain throughout a good portion of today. Maybe an inch or more of rain fell in the past 24 hours. About 5:46, Wednesday, August 12th. Another day of lots of rain. As expected, looks like their efforts have been concentrated on cleaning out the debris in the old original stone structure. They made a lot of headway, but a lot more to come out of there. And of course, it's more than just yanking it out of there. Once it comes out, it has to be sorted. What can be classified as clean debris is put in stacks where it'll be buried in the future. The metal is put here, and the debris that's concentrated as asbestos or just complete rubble is hauled away and brought to wherever they bring it out in the Erie County area. The original 1909 stone building. About 5 p.m. on Thursday the 13th, At the front corner of the school. Looks like there's a little trouble getting some focus today. But not a lot has transpired. I'd say basically another cleanup day here on this Thursday. Well, not a lot visible as far as destruction of the remaining part of the school demolition as it continues. And once again, mainly a debris pickup day. Friday, August 14th, about 12:20 in the afternoon, lunchtime, and things are quiet, but driving around the building, it's obvious that today is just another day of clearing out debris. And they will continue to clear that debris out and probably attack those remaining walls sometime in the coming week. But at the moment, things are quiet here at the demolition of St. Mary's in Champlain. Quarter of 12 on Sunday, August 16th, 2015. As expected, there's not a lot of structural change from how this looked a week ago. And more of the debris has been removed. Again, this is the gymnasium area. Looks like somebody had scrawled something here, STANDISA looks like. But part of it's gone. Well, the message was written there by somebody, maybe a youngster who wandered in here while the cement was drying. Or maybe one of the construction workers in the 1958-59 era. And another area that looks like it may have had a big writing here. Any of you Champlain youngsters out there, now's the time to come forward and tell us what you wrote in the cement or in the construction. Here we go. It says boy, 1940 it looks like. But again, it's part of it's been taken away when the cement was broke. Whoever was around here in the late 50s, 58, 59, well, actually this would have been the 40s, excuse me. I'm thinking high school. This was done around 1939-40 era. So the kid would have had to have been born in the 20s or 30s. So any of you real old timers out there, now is the time to step forward and tell us what you wrote. I would expect as they continue to make progress that more of this rubble will be gone, and they might be getting into attacking these walls by the end of this coming week. This is the rubble that remains in the original 1909 structure at this point in time. Pretty much a lot of stone and some metal. And here's how it looks on this side. Again, not a lot of change from last week, although they've been working non-stop. Not a lot of change. This is the cafeteria. This will be a very brief look on Monday, August 17th, 6:45. Looks like today was just another day of cleaning up rubble. Shortly after 5 p.m. on Tuesday the 18th. We're working late tonight, and a tractor trailer filled with rubble. Still no more structural changes. But they're making inroads on clearing the debris out of the 1909 school area. So that's it. Tuesday the 18th, 2015. "5:40 p.m. on Friday, August 21st. We went a couple of days without coming here, since there really wasn't much sense of doing that. There wasn't much demolition going on. They were mainly clearing up day after day, so we drove by to verify that and didn't bother making a report. One thing I've wanted to mention in previous viewings was the trees that were near the fire. They got scorched and are brown. Looks like a lot of debris has been taken out from the old building, but there's still more to come. And we'll come closer. We'll get closer and and see what it looks like a little closer to that area. And this is what the stone building looks like today. Not sure what that is. Surprisingly, there are some boards in here, some wood. I wouldn't have expected to find any. And that'll be our look for this week. Here in the gymnasium. About 5:30 p.m. on Tuesday, August 25th. Taking a shot here of this wall we've taken a shot of so many times before, because it could very well be the last opportunity to take that picture, because it looks like they're making real progress here in clearing out the debris. We're walking toward the gymnasium. And I noticed this when I was here over the weekend. I'll have to change the location here just a little bit, because the front end of that loader. But it looks a lot like there are two jugs over there that survived the fire. I don't think that's anything that the people doing the demolition brought in. So it's possible that there were a pocket or two within that stone structure that were isolated enough that some stuff survived. Looking through the window where the furnace was. About 5:45 p.m. on Thursday, August 27th. It's going to be a very short episode of the demolition of St. Mary's, because this will be our final look for this particular week, even though it's a Thursday. On Friday evening I've got a whole lot of soccer to cover, and then Saturday morning we're back in the soccer field, so in order to get this on our Saturday programming, I'll have to wrap it up today. Looks like they got at least another day of debris gathering. It's probably a little discouraging for these guys that it's taken so long to sort all this stuff out, and they probably just like to chuck it all into one pile, but they're continuing to sort it. They are making progress, and I would expect that next week this will finally be coming down here, the original 1909 portion. At this point in time I can't even speculate on what this piece of metal is all about. So we'll wrap up this particular week backstage. Approaching 5:30 on Thursday, September 3rd, 2015. I'm showing the wet ground here. Looks like they put up a small berm in the hope of containing the water. Apparently they've been doing a lot of washing. What we've been told, they've run into some unexpected asbestos problems in the old part of the school. Looks like they have started to take down the stairway. Report is that they were going to try to salvage it. Hopefully that's still holding true. They have taken down some of the wall on the corner of the school. This is looking toward the back parking lot. There's the stairway. So some of that has been taken down. A lot of stone debris has been piled here. This will probably be our only look this week until maybe Saturday. So it's possible that more of this stone wall from the 1909 structure will be gone by then. But this will probably be our only look for this particular week here, September 3rd, 2015. Minutes before 4 on Thursday, September 10th, 2015, and there's not a lot left standing as far as the 1909 structure goes. They're sorting debris and still working here at 10:04. Overall, what we learned a couple weeks ago, they were expected to be a lot further along than what they are now. But barring anything unforeseen, I would say that it won't be long before everything has been torn down. The inside wall is still there. I'm sure there must be some reason for that. The stairs, that half is still there. The other half, I believe, is over there in the salvage area. So this is how it looks shortly before 4 on the 10th day of September 2015. We are on our way to a soccer game at Northeastern. Drove by here earlier today and saw that the wall that was still standing had been cut in half. About 3:30 p.m. Friday, September 18th, 2015. I'm about to walk onto the high school portion of St. Mary's Academy. And it's finally happened. The school is gone. We're standing near the area where the 1940 era structure was. This is the area where the cafeteria would have been. It looks like they've been busy filling in, trying to level it off here. The wall that separated the gym from the cafeteria hallway, just a little bit of that remains. Not quite sure why this particular little cement brick portion is still here, but that's the only thing still standing from the 1940 era construction. Huge amount of cement right here, and several other huge piles of cement, as we mentioned several times before. They're using stuff like that to fill in, so they'll take less fill. So they use on-site fill as much as possible. The stairway is down. The fire escape stairway is down. Not sure if they salvaged it or not. That was the request. I'm going to keep the camera rolling. We walk around this pile of tin and other scrap metal. Now in the principal's office. Spent a lot of time there when I was in school. And now walking along an entry that where we would have entered to head downstairs to the gymnasium. The high school here, and the stairways to the bottom portion right there. And of course beyond there the stairs to the second floors. There's the walkway by the gymnasium. And I had reason to think of this area this week because an old schoolmate of mine who lived just down at the bottom of the driveway here, Rodney Chevalier, passed away quite unexpectedly. And in 58, 59, I was a 7th grader and a proud member of the safety patrol. As most of you will know, Route 9 at that time was the road between Broadway and Montreal. There was no Northway. And if you follow Route 9 down, you'll find it goes right into Broadway in New York City. So this was the main road between Montreal and New York City. And of course, everybody kind of came and went in the 50s as they wanted to go downtown. They went downtown. Didn't matter if you were in 2nd grade or 5th grade or high school. You wanted to go downtown and visit Jimmy Chevalier's or Margaret's variety store or whatever, you did it. But they had safety patrol people, students that would stop cars and tell the kids when to cross. And I was a proud member of that. Had my strap, my badge. And the chief of the safety patrol was a guy named Rodney Chevalier. So this was the 58-59 school year. I was a 7th grader. And construction was just wrapping up for the high school. And one day I was assigned to making sure nobody went back to that area because of the construction. So I was stationed somewhere along here. But I was under the assumption that high schoolers could come and go. So I had a couple of high schoolers come up and say, "Can we go through? We'll give you a couple pieces of candy." So I said, "Sure." I thought I was getting some candy and they could go through anyway. So the first thing they did was tattle to Rodney Chevalier, and even though he was just an 8th grader, he took that job very seriously. And he said, "I hear you went you let some guys through for a bribe." I said, "I thought they could go through anyway." He said, "Nope, nobody can go through." So I learned that day. I was very saddened this week when I looked on Facebook and saw that he was gone. Well, this is going to be the close for this week. Not much left to be done except filling in the bottom floor. All the 1909 structure is gone, and very little, if anything, remains of the 1940 era structure. And of course the 1959 structure was the first one to go, the high school portion. We're not going to bother with the 1187 intersection this week. It's not much visually to see there. They've been working hard expanding that area for the two roundabouts that'll be going in there. So this will wrap up this week's look at the demolition of St. Mary's, and it's safe to say it's been demolished. (11:30 a.m. on Friday, September 25th, on the St. Mary's school grounds, and surprised that no one's here working. They have removed the cement from the floor where the high school was. So that's all gone. Not sure what they're doing with these huge I-beams. This is the high school. Cement removed and probably dumped into the area here. That cement is still above ground level. Not quite sure why that hasn't been knocked down. They are filling it in. A lot of big chunks of cement lying here and about, and tarmac. And here we are at the corner where the gymnasium was. As we saw last week, nothing in that direction. Stairways are still here. Are they going to be utilized or not? I haven't heard. Huge piles of concrete. That's probably the flooring from the high school right there. Some electrical panel boxes still remain. This is the area that separated the high school portion from the 1940 portion, and there was a little area there you'd walk through from the cafeteria area into this area, come up these stairs here, but there's stuff beyond the view that was a little area underneath the floor there that electrical panels and other stuff was located. So not much left to look at. We'll see what it'll all look like when it's done and the ground has been leveled. So for all practical purposes, there is nothing remaining. There is a little door down there. Right there, so we have a little door. That's apparently going to be buried along with those electric boxes and the wiring. So that's our look at St. Mary's on this Friday the 25th. As I said, kind of surprised there's no activity here. They apparently are done for the week. October 9th, Friday. I've just entered the high school from the side. That's St. Mary's. Making my way toward the hall. Stand about halfway in, so I'm in the hall now, making my way. About 5:30 or so. If they're not completely done here, they're not far away from it. I would imagine there'd be some kind of topsoil put on. Out of rough A whole lot of bricks still going up through the debris. So St. Mary's Academy on October 9th, 2015. And we have to point out that all the scrap pieces have been taken away, all the scrap metal, the big I-beams we saw before. What could be buried has been buried, what could be salvaged has been taken away. (11:25 a.m.) October 29th, 2015. We started shooting this. We started here at the corner of the goal post. And there was a building here at that point in time. That's long gone at this point in time. We've been putting off coming down for this final look, waiting for them to clear out their material in their outhouse, but looks like they haven't done much here in the last week or two. The sign that was in front of the school on Main Street has been moved to a secret location, and they're going to somehow try to preserve what they can of that. It's got some peeling paint as it is, so they'll do what they can to preserve that sign. If they leave it out there through the winter, they may not have to worry about preserving it. We're going to walk across the downed orange fence and take one final look. But this is the angle we had when we first started this on June 14th of this year. It's rather muddy where the footprint of the high school was. As we showed last time, they've torn the cement up, used it as fill. And I imagine what they'll be doing is maybe moving some more of this debris down to the lower level to help make it a little more of a gradual incline here. And then it looks like they're bringing in topsoil, and that will eventually be done, whether it be done this fall or this spring, this coming spring. No way of knowing at this time. Here's the stairs that they've tried to salvage. Whether they'll salvage those or not, I don't know. It's out of my hands. I've done what I could to put the people that could use those in touch with the people at St. Mary's, and last I heard they were going to take care of it, so hopefully that will be done. So this is it. Our final look at the destruction of the fire-ravaged St. Mary's Academy.